What I'm about to say, nobody is going to like. So just get used to that. Fasten your seatbelt. I like Ja Morant. I think he's sensational. I think he's mesmerizing. I think he's fantastic for the league. I love watching him. The Grizzlies are now 18-2 without him. One blowout last night. Again. Oh, they're not just good without him. Their offensive net rating is by far the best in the league in the last 20 games. Way better than Phoenix. And their offensive net rating is unbelievable. He is not an MVP. And when you say that, oh, the pushback you get. He's great. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. I love him. Most valuable player. Michael Jordan left his team in his prime. The Bulls don't go 18-2. LeBron left Cleveland. An hour later, it was a tire fire. He left Miami and Pat Riley. It smoldered for years. John Wall, Derrick Rose, Westbrook, Ja Morant. Do they elevate others? I always say this. If you voted on MVP in my house, it would be my wife. Because she elevates the kid. She elevates me. She elevates people, things beyond herself. I hear two things when people like me criticize Ja Morant. Colin, he's different. No, he's not. He's Derrick Rose. Don't tell me he's different. That is recency bias, and many of you, even in the media, are beholden to emotion. He is Derrick Rose. Small, spectacular, mesmerizing, amazing, a transformational talent. But I don't think he makes everybody better. I think Jokic does. I think Embiid does. I think Giannis does. Giannis is usually the best player on the floor on both ends. You guys have been telling me for years the future of point guard is Westbrook and John Wall and Derrick Rose. And I've been telling you it's Chris Paul. Chris Paul goes to the Clippers. They're the worst franchise in the league. They get to the playoffs. He leaves. Has anybody seen Blake Griffin? APB. I haven't seen him in years. Oklahoma City was tanking. Chris Paul goes there. They get into the playoffs. Goes to Houston. If he doesn't get hurt, they beat Golden State, the dynasty. He goes to Phoenix with all these same players. They couldn't win games. He arrives to go to the finals. And this year, they're not only going to the finals, they're going to fly through the NBA playoffs. Most valuable player. You have to be something beyond yourself. So the first thing I always hear is, this is different. No, it's not. Derrick Rose took over the basketball world for 3 years until LeBron James, who makes people beyond himself great, said, step back, young son. It is still my league. The second thing I hear is you can't punish Ja Morant because the team around is great. Who's punishing him? He's not being grounded by his parents. We're not taking away his parking spot. We're not reducing his salary. Nobody's punishing him. We're just unveiling the truth. Flashy point guards are running quarterbacks. Fans and media get obsessed by highlights. Watch the games. Flashy point guards and running quarterbacks. You know who's got 7 Super Bowl trophies? Brady. His highlights aren't that interesting. His highlights aren't that fascinating. Russell Wilson's got way better highlights. Right? Kyler Murray's got way better highlights. The shelf life for the running quarterback and the flashy point guard. You're not lasting 19, 20 years in this league like LeBron. The 5 best point guards I've ever seen in my life. And I've been watching this league since 1972 when I was sitting in a bunk bed. And I remember as a kid, Brent Musburger was doing the game. I swear to you, I think it was him. Maybe it wasn't, but it was Lakers and Blazers. And it was in Portland at the Rose Memorial Coliseum or whatever it was called. It's the first time I watched an NBA game. Back then, the Lakers center was, well, it was Wilt. But right after that, it was Elmore Smith. That's when I started watching the NBA. And the 5 best point guards I've ever seen, I won't even put them in order, are Magic Johnson, Isaiah Thomas, John Stockton, Chris Paul, and Steph Curry. 4 are the best passers I've ever seen, and 1, Steph Curry's the best shooter, and Ja Morant's neither. Now, that doesn't mean he can't develop into it. I always felt He was a better Westbrook. I think he's more self-aware. I think he's a better shooter. But what he really is now, a couple years into the league, he's Derrick Rose. He's Derrick Rose. Who deserves credit for understanding after several injuries, you know what, maybe I'm better off the bench, better mid-range shooter, got to be. But don't keep telling me that Westbrook, Ja Morant, and Derrick Rose, and John Wall are going to change the league, and that's the future of point guard. No. Just like a great quarterback, distribution, elevating others makes you MVP. And I love Ja Morant, and I love Derrick Rose. But I kept saying during the fascinating Derrick Rose phenomenon, it's still LeBron's league, because LeBron makes everybody else better. Chris Paul makes everybody else better. You understand the Phoenix Suns? All these guys were there, and they couldn't win. They were bad. And then Chris Paul arrived, and Chris Paul gives you 16 a game, but he's got leadership, and he's barking, and he's yelling, and nobody cares about Chris Paul's highlights. They're boring. Tom Brady's highlights, they're boring. I mean, Matt Stafford looks one way, throws the other. That's better than every Brady highlight in every Super Bowl ever. In fact, Brady's best highlight was Julian Edelman's catch against Atlanta, and the best highlight in any Brady Super Bowl was the David Tyree catch from Eli Manning. None of them were Tom. It's the leadership, it's the distribution, it's the pre-snap. So they're 18-2. Nobody's punishing him. We're just unveiling a truth. Distribution matters a lot for quarterbacks. There is no proof the flashy point guard and the running quarterback win a lot of games in the postseason. Their highlights are amazing, and they do win, and they're worth big money. I'd pay Ja Morant. I think he's fascinating. But when you keep telling me something, and I keep seeing it over and over, and I've been arguing on this show for 10 years, Chris Paul is the best point guard in the NBA. That's how you do it. Chris Paul. And his highlights are boring. Sometimes he does dribble behind his back to himself, pulls up for a mid-ranger. That's nice, not vertical. You know, he's mostly a horizontal player who, like Brady, is good with the ball in his hands, distributes, has to bark at others, directs traffic. You know, getting older, kind of expensive. But if you keep telling me something and I keep seeing something else, it's not on me, it's on you. And I love the kid. But they're now 18-2 without him. He is valuable. He's not most valuable. I told you you wouldn't like it. I gave you a warning. I told you you weren't going to like it. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.